Check, check, 1, 2. We're going to be starting, everybody. Check, check. All right, sorry for that. We just got to hook up the old iPhone here. How's everybody doing that's joining us? This is going to be Vikings Valhalla, everything you need to know. The broad strokes of the series. It's kind of an interesting production, interesting project on all levels, business, creative, and where this story is going to be going. This direct spin-off, almost a direct continuation, and we'll get into that exactly when it's going to start off. We'll get the press release and all that, but if I can get sound confirmation in the chat, that would be lovely, and we will be starting here in 2 minutes. I just gotta sync up this iPhone here, something that was actually working, and now it is not. Go ahead, sync up, baby. All right, 2 minutes here. Let's see. Come on, technology. Join meeting. What's up, John Baptiste? All right, thank you, Fandom D Saint. Fandom D Saint, we gotta crush the fake feud because people think we're serious. People are like, what happened between you and David? I was like, nothing. I was like, we've been messing around like that for a while, just joking around. I'm like, I started off because he's such a good guy, so it thought it'd be funny just to portray him as a horrible person, you know, like, because it's ironic. Yeah, we gotta, I guess maybe just me, we have to settle it down. What's going on, Peter Griffin? All right, so let's get over here to the photos. Netflix announces a new series. Let me make sure this is all gravy here, and we should be good to go. Let's see. All right, what's going on, John Haymaker? What's going on, Van D Saint? Peter Griffin. And so we're going to start off talking about this project. This project is Vikings Valhalla. I'll say right off the bat, nitpick, but guess what? I do not like this title. It seems like a 15-year-old picked this out. It's not a huge deal. I won't make a huge deal out of it, but yeah, it's a little bit lame. So, Vikings Valhalla, let me get this a little bit bigger on screen for you guys, and so you can read the press release. Let's see. And there you go. Yeah, bear with me for 2 seconds here. It's going to give me problems. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's start the broadcast. Do it upright. All right. All right, so Vikings Valhalla, new chapter in the Viking saga. This is from MGM Television. This is the same. MGM actually had direct control over the original as well, and it's, of course, going to go out on me. I don't know why, but it shouldn't be. Okay, go. We're ready. All right, that should stay. So Jeb Stewart to write, that's the really interesting aspect about this, is this Jeb Stewart, who we'll get into, and Hearst to be executive producer on this. It's really important to note that Hearst has been the sole writer and showrunner for all of Vikings, for better or worse. If you've seen a good amount of my videos, you'll know that I'm not completely in league with all of that. But it is an interesting choice for a number of reasons. Jeb has not written anything in 10 years, and you know, to be fair, he hasn't really written. He has always adapted, which I'll get into, and it's not to take credit away, because adapting a series is very, very difficult. It's very, very difficult, but it's just different. We'll get into what he's done. So this is the actual press release. Netflix today announced Vikings Valhalla, a new original series from creator Michael Hearst that continues the storytelling of his beloved epic Viking saga. And the logline for this is: the new saga begins 100 years after the original series concludes and dramatizes the adventures of the most famous Vikings who ever lived. Leif Erikson, Freydis, Eriksdotter is how you kind of pronounce that, Harold Hydrata, and the Norman king William the Conqueror, a Viking descendant. You know, that is Rollo's great-grandson. These men and women will blaze new paths as they fight for survival in an evil in a ever-changing and evolving Europe. This is the explosive next chapter of the Viking legend. And it goes on to name it all. I'm not going to mess with all of that right now because it's seemingly giving me trouble here. For some reason, does not want to stay connected whatsoever, and it's very annoying. It's very, very annoying. So 2 seconds, and then if it doesn't go, then we're gonna give it up on that. But it really should. It shouldn't be an issue to do this. Share screen. Start the broadcast, and we'll go. On screen, you should see right here at least what the actual projects that Jeb Stewart has done are. But we should be able to go back over here to what I had planned. Let's go over main cam and... All right, so this is MGM, like I noted, and Michael Hurst's quote is, "I'm beyond excited that we're announcing the continuation of our Viking saga. I know that millions of our fans across the globe will be thrilled by the belief being shown in our show by MGM and Netflix. Jeb Stewart, a truly wonderful writer, will bring new storylines and a powerful, visceral vision to the stories about some of the most famous Vikings known to history." So, again, Jeb Stewart, and it's not taking anything away from him, he's adapted, most famously, he did the first Die Hard, and he did The Fugitive. Interesting note about that is that Die Hard was a book, of course, and The Fugitive was a television show from 69 to like 77. So the adaptation process isn't easy, and I guess it does lead us to the question of, can you adapt the Norse sagas, and how similar is that? He's adapted action movies. There's a lot of action in the sagas, so we'll see how it goes. But let's start with some of the people that he said he's going to be actually featuring. So if we're going to have Leif Erikson, then we have to have Eric the Red. Now, this is who was actually billed to play Eric last season, 5B. This Johnson, sorry. He was supposed to be in it, and they just dropped his scenes, but he will be in the first half of Vikings season 6. So Eric the Red will be present. Eric Thurtles, called Eric the Red, is a Viking explorer confirmed to appear in season 6. He's portrayed by Canadian actor Eric Johnson. So that is who essentially gets them to Greenland, and then they go from Greenland, and then you have the whole getting to Newfoundland and so forth. So we're going to see the very popular story of Leif Erikson, and we'll see Freydis, his sister. So there's a lot of aspects to that, but the biggest thing about that is that there is a huge time gap between these two and these three. These are the other three that are going to be featured, and this is just in their log line, but Harold Godwinson, William the Conqueror, and Harold Hydrata. So you're looking at about from 970, 980, 990 to these guys not even being born until about, I got the timeline, but about like 1020, 1010. So what I believe we're going to see is most likely Canute the Great, and we're going to see probably Olaf, because the thing that I'm wondering about is how is Netflix going to possibly connect these characters, because we have Eric and Freydis going over to Iceland, Greenland, and then to the Americas, North America, but how can we get them connected with what's going on in Europe? And we don't want to necessarily leave Europe in the sense of like not having any Saxon presence in the show right away. So what I think they're going to do is they will use the connection of why Leif Erikson leaves Greenland to begin with, which is because King Olaf has him leave. And King Olaf is connected with Canute. So you have a connection right there. You have Canute, who is going to have the North Sea Empire that falls in between. So we'll see Alfred's children. There's about 3 of them that reign after. And then we will see the rise of Hydrata. We'll see the rise of Godwinson, and we'll see William the Conqueror. And it should connect. So hold on one second. I'm going to go over to you guys here. Sorry for that. The phone was messing up. So we're just going to kill that idea right there. But there is some interesting prospects for this as well, because it's on Netflix, and there's a significant difference between having a series on television and having a series on Netflix, especially network television, where you have act breaks, meaning there's commercials. You have sequences which must be busted up, essentially. You must have many little cliffhangers. And Netflix series are more prone to people that are going to binge things. They have a huge team that only does like algorithmic determination, meaning like they see the trends and how people watch this type of content, and it's going to be heavily influenced by that. But just having act breaks, there's usually about 4 or 5 act breaks in every episode of Vikings, and those are always the mini cliffhangers. They're going to give you a situation in which you're going to want to wait through the commercials to come back. On Netflix, you don't have that. This allows for more streamlined storytelling. It doesn't usually... Make sure I'm still on here. All right. Am I good? Wow, the tech is just not going good for me on this one. I thought this would be the easy way. So, I think... All right, we're coming back, people. Let me know. I think that we're back. Okay. Yeah, so you have episodic television, which is going to lend itself to situations in which you're always going to have those 4 cliffhangers within an episode, for better or worse. Sometimes you come back and there's a whole family that wasn't there before, as we've seen with Ragnar's Sons. But on Netflix, what you'll see is they know people are going to binge it, and they'll do the actual research to see how people are watching content similar to this, and that will actually dictate how they write this series. It's very, very interesting. You will have more scenarios in which you won't have, because like I said, you're going to have Leif Erikson and Freydis, okay? But you're also going to need to have William the Conqueror and Harold Godwinson and Harold Hydrata. Now, they go to the culmination, that big event of 1066, when essentially you see the Norman rule of England, and it's known kind of as the end of the Viking Age. I kind of take this as Viking Valhalla, where the series will end. This has been picked up for a straight-to-series project, meaning they're gonna get 13 episodes, front 13, and then they'll get back 11 or 12. For the series, but they're going to release it most likely with 13 episodes, but they might, I don't know if they're going to do season 1 or season 2, but for sure you're going to get 24 episodes of this. Essentially the first 13 should come out first, probably as a season 1. I don't imagine they'll do 1A and 1B as they do on history. I don't really know how they do that to begin with, but you're going to have a big gap to fill, and it's just very interesting in the log line how it is not mentioned. Canute's not mentioned, who again, there's a few great videos to watch about this from history by Hilbert and VC3, who do Road to 1066, that explain what happened with the North Sea Empire. And essentially that is when you have the House of Wessex, which is Alfred the Great's children. That dynasty essentially falls out of favor and is not running the country anymore, because Canute, a Viking, a Christian, a converted Viking, ends up being king of Denmark, king of Norway, and king of England. And then after that, you have Edward the Confessor, who we'll get into in a little bit, that will lead to the whole situation of 1066, with having Harold Godwinson, a earl, a very powerful earl, but not blood related in any direct way to Edward, promise the crown, and then he is supposedly gone adrift on the ocean and ends up at William the Bastard, not William the Conqueror's stronghold, and swears that when Edward dies, he will make sure the crown goes to William, which William was a first cousin of Edward the Confessor. And then you have Harold Hydrata, who has connections, a loose blood connection, and he's from the north, of course, but he also has a lot of interesting ties with Canute, and he has a lot of tales that have him being a Varangian guard. I've talked about Varangians before. The Varangians were the ones that went to Russia. Danes that go east are called Varangian, and Danes that go west are called Vikings. You go a Viking or you're a Varangian. So we're going to see a little bit of the Rus, as we're going to see in the next season, and it should actually, let's see. Oh, he got an ad with it when it came back, and that should connect it pretty decently right there. So let's see. I think I lost half of my slides because of that, but let's see what we got here. So... All right, as I said, now, again, born in the 10th century, Leif Erikson was the second son of Eric the Red, who is credited with settling Greenland. For his part, Erikson is considered by many to be the first European to reach North America. And then you have Freydis, who we've seen this character depicted kind of poorly, but with Ivar's wife, and now we're going to get her. But there is a interesting dynamic, and I have it on my other phone. Let me send these over. What I was going to plan on using, but it just seems to not want to actually work in any significant or meaningful way about this dynamic right here, because I see a Lagertha and in Ragnar connection with Eric and Freydis. Now they're brother and sister, but the interesting thing is that you're going to be able to get a little bit of the Rollo and Ragnar dynamic between them. And also when Bjorn is older now, the relationship that he has with his mother, this seems to be tailor-made for the type of stuff that Hearst does. So, we're going to have a brother and sister, and these are the Vinland sagas, and there's two different adaptions of them, in which one, Freydis, is a lot more of a bloodlusty, like manipulative, just kind of a horrible person, and the other one in which she is just a brave shield maiden, in which gets along with her brother. But it's important to note that they do leave Greenland because Eric supposedly kills somebody. So we could have a whole first season in which it's Eric and Freydis in Greenland before they even set to the Americas. And it's also possible that they do condense history like they've done before. They had the Siege of Paris, which they link Ragnar's 855, I believe, is when they had the first siege, and then Rollo's siege in 9/11. They make the same thing. So we could see that, but I really feel like Canute the Great is a missed opportunity, and it's a connection because you want to see Harold Hydrada, you want to see the actual development of these characters and get to know them and care about them. And it'll be interesting to see how they frame it. Another interesting thing is with Eric and Freydis, not as well documented, but once you get over to Europe, you have a lot of Vikings like Canute and so forth, that the actual accounts are a lot better. This isn't just the only accounting of is by the victims. At this time, they acclimated, they have assimilated to the culture, and you do have a lot more less one-sided accounts. We'll say it's not just the Saxons writing about the Danes, where this is a story that is documented at first essentially by the victims, or who see themselves as the victim in many ways were. So it will be interesting. Yeah, Vinland Saga. Okay, yeah, the anime. I've heard about this anime, David, and I don't know anything about anime, but I know people are pumped because of the very fact that there is a Vinland anime. I don't know how much does that stick. Answer me that. How much does that stick to the actual sagas from what you know? I mean, I couldn't tell by just looking at it, but hold on. We should be able to get this back up. I don't know what the hell is going on with that phone, but it is very, very, very annoying. So, Jeb Stewart. Let's move on, or back to him, and see what he's all about. So, he's done, as I said, 2 adaptions. You could argue that definitely the fact that he adapted Die Hard, that's a pretty good job. He's kind of really known for doing a smooth adaptation and kind of ironing out the issues with that novel and making it a very effective action movie. I would argue that adapting an action movie is not nearly as hard as adapting like a psychological thriller. Action is best utilized through a visual format, not in a novel. But he did make changes like John McClane, not the name of the character in the books, but blah, 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 is already like retired. He's a much older gentleman at this time, and he has no hope of redemption with his children or his wife. So like he has some emotional ties that he fixes in that. And The Fugitive, it's the only series, like I said, to win an Oscar that was adapted. But at the same time, it's a lot of that, I'm not taking anything away from him, but the character work and all that was done by somebody else. The story was done by somebody else. So it's not downing on him. I watched the one interview I could find with the guy, and to be honest, I kind of respect him on just the point of what he says. He says that he wanted to work. He's not like somebody that like sticks to their laurels or is like a very artsy guy. Like, he's just pragmatic. He's like, I needed to work, I needed to make money, I had a kid on the way, I was getting married, and I was writing to work. So he was trying to get actual jobs, meaning like he wasn't going to be tied to his screenplays and stuff like that. He wanted to get work, be out there, and doing what he could do to get in the grind and make money. So let's see if this works one more time, people. So it's just a little bit odd that this press release is leading with him. That would be my argument. I don't know. I always kind of say things about publicists and critique them when it's like, I don't know, who the hell am I to do that? But at the same time, it's a weird move because the guy hasn't done anything in 10 years, number one. And it's just a weird situation. It seems like I wouldn't lead with like, okay, because they're like, oh, Jeb is going to bring all these intense stories to it. It's like, okay, but what has he done in the last 10 years? And then when you look at his work overall, besides the projects, like I said, like Die Hard and The Fugitive, you don't have really, and again, which were adaptions, he wrote this Blood Done, Sign My Name, Switchback, but pretty terrible stuff right there. It's just a weird thing. It's a weird move. This is him right there. As I said, can he adapt these actual series? So we will find out. But let's go now that this seems to be working into, this is a depiction of Freitas looking kind of crazy. Leif Erikson, Harold Godwinson. This is Canute. This is him proving, he does this like really cool thing where he shows all of the monarchs and speaks to the nobles saying a king can't stop the tide. And he supposedly took his chair and sat in the ocean and put his hands out like in attempt to stop it, knowing he couldn't, just showing them that they don't rule the world. He's actually a very, very interesting character. And there's the North Sea Empire, which I'll show you guys, which is something I just don't think they should skip over. And I think it's kind of like crucial for this story right here. Let's see. Because you can connect your characters with that. It wouldn't be like this huge degree of separation in time, because everything kind of kicks off with 1066 or before 1066, but a lot of that doesn't come to fruition until like a year before that. So this is the actual North Sea Empire. As you can see, it's got a lot of Scandinavia in it. It's got Greenland. It's got all of Britain in it. So it was like the size of the Holy Roman Empire. So it's pretty significant that this guy held this. And that, again, can bring off Olaf, who was the person that sends Eric packing, essentially. It can connect them because that's the only connection I could find. And if there's a better historian out there, or an actual historian, I'd be interested to see. But you got Freitas and Leif, and you can closely see how she could definitely be depicted much like Lagertha. But also the connection right here with the brother and sister. I mean, I think at this point, Bjorn and Lagertha definitely have a brother and sister connection right now. And you've got also this is a two mixture of, characters that weren't historical figures that weren't really related. That they could have if they go with the one Vinland saga in which you have Freitas acting like a nut, kind of. I don't want to use any words that are could be misogynistic, but she's acting pretty crazy. You could go with the same dynamic right there. This is something they have experience doing, and it's something that would work. So you have a lot of battles coming up to this as well. You have a lot of battles, not only just Stamford Bridge and Hastings, but you have a lot of events that could play really well on screen, which they could probably stretch this out for like 4 seasons. I don't see them picking this show up without at least having the intention of keeping it. She cray. Let's see. So what's going on, Mackenzie? So it's gonna be interesting because it's how do you play this? Are we gonna have Godwinson? He's the one that he is the king. He gets on Edward Confessor's deathbed. Edward makes him the king of England, and then he has to go and fight 3 different battles, 2 before Hastings here, in like a series of 2 weeks. He goes up there and fights at Fulford and at Stamford Bridge, and then he marches straight down to fight William. And I could definitely see them using Rollo even in flashbacks because like that's the connection with the current series that we have, is that Rollo is obviously, you know, the grandfather, great grandfather of William. But Godwinson, I could see them maybe depicting him in a very opportunistic way, a way that doesn't shine the best light on him. I think that it'll be interesting because in a lot of these depictions, if you ever watch any of the History Channel's depictions or any of the documentaries on Timeline on YouTube, which I recommend you do, there is always he's kind of like the underdog, and they kind of make it look like it's very sympathetic, not just empathetic towards him right there. So, you know, we're going to have to get over a few hurdles with this one, but I assume that it's going to start off with Leif and Freydis in Greenland, Olaf exiling Leif, them coming across the Americas, and then them dealing with the natives. Now, supposedly this is all going to be shot using the same crew as well. The same crew in Ireland. So how they're going to get extras that would be able to depict the actual, I don't know why I got that message. Why a actual population in Ireland that could depict the indigenous people of Newfoundland, I don't know. But I think that's going to have to be a big part of it because essentially it doesn't work out. Spoiler alert, but I could see a season of that, and then you see the young Harold Hydrata fighting with, you have all of the great Vikings of the time. You have Canute, you have Olaf, you have, I think it's Forkspeared or whatever. Before that, you have a lot of the descendants of Harold, blue hair and fine hair, that are going to be a part of this. So you're going to have a lot of time to show these guys like in their young age, because even William, because he is the Duke of Normandy, so he's always wanting more, and he does have relations in the sense of he has a functioning relationship with the King of Norway. He has a functioning relationship with the King of England, of course, but more so he does get involved in some of these skirmishes in battles in the earlier years. So you could definitely see these guys in their formative years. Look at Vikings. We started off in 840 or something like that, and it's pretty much spanned 140 years, a little bit more since they condensed it, but we've seen about 140 years. I think Ivar dies like around 858 or something like that. They don't even know an exact time, but I would assume that you could definitely do 4 seasons of this series, and it would end with William's conquest. It would end with Hastings, and then after that that's the end of the story. It's just interesting that Netflix scooped this out from underneath the actual Mackenzie, that's what I'm talking. It's going to be interesting as that is switching channels. Yeah, definitely, because it's not normal for that to happen. Let's just get that out of the way. Like, history cannot be happy about that. But they have this new, it's called Green Pavilion. It's not that new. It's 2017 that Hearst is a part of. And it is a production company in which, if you look at Hearst's IMDb, if you have IMDb Pro, look at his upcoming projects. He's got The Caesars, which is going to depict, the Julian dynasty. It's got, he's doing an Agincourt script, which who knows where that will end up. But there is a number of projects that they're working on. And Martin Scorsese actually is going to supposedly do this Caesars film that they've been working on for a while. So history can't be pumped about this, but it is still MGM Entertainment. But like I said, it's going to drastically change the way in which the story is told. Like, if you had to tell The Walking Dead, which God forbid, on Netflix, I cannot stress enough how much adapting it to something with no act breaks actually changes just like the whole feel of the show. I mean, if you just watch one episode, pay attention to every single time before they go to the commercial what's happening. It does what the end episode is supposed to do. But on Netflix, they know, because of the work with the algorithm and all the statistics they do. It's very interesting. I'm going to link all these videos in the information below. There's a few good ones that simply lay out the algorithmic determination and stuff like that, the way they can kind of figure out on like a technical level, like what is best for the show. So you could do a series that would usually be afraid not to show you like a certain character for a week, but they know people watch it in groups of 3, so they know they have more time to work with, so they're not as likely to rush it, and it is more streamlined. Now you can have episodes that fall flatter because of this, but they never fall as flat as a bad episode that you have to wait a week for, because they know people will binge it. So, I mean, let me know if you guys like that it's going to be on Netflix, or don't like that. I mean, it is going to be a very, very different series because of that. And again, it's a little bit odd that Michael Hirst, and maybe it's a good thing. I mean, the guy does seem to love and hate history at the same time, and they seem to have faith in him. But what has Jeb Stewart been doing for the last years, like 10 years? The movies before that, now, it's just a weird thing to put him up front. Like, if anything, they should be like, all right, let's see if you if you still got it. I mean, who knows? Maybe he's been writing like great shit and throwing it away. So yeah, I mean, yeah, John, you like it a lot. I like it too. I think that it's definitely not a bad thing, but at the same time, it's something to take into consideration that this is a major, major change up in it. So hold on, and we will go down here and answer a few of the questions. So Floki's most likely alive, and he'll show up at the very end and so forth. But the biggest thing that they're going to have to make work is this about 70 to 80 year gap, like I said, between Freydis and Eric's life and Harold Godwinson, William the Bastard at the time, in Harold Hydrata. I will put my money down right now and say it's going to be Canute the Great, because that's what makes sense. He fights. He is the one that kind of like unifies. He has the northern, the great North Sea Empire. He has all of that, but it kind of brings everybody together, and that's where Edward the Confessor pops out after that. And for a moment there, you have a House of Wessex family member that is a direct descendant of Alfred the Great, but it's not very long lasting. Hulu does that fandom. Netflix shoot weekly, cancel this. I imagine Netflix decides to do the show weekly so people don't cancel their subscription after they said that they're not going to do that. So I've looked into what the plans are for the show, and it is going to be released 13 episodes at once. So that won't be the full 24 that they've ordered, because this is a straight to series, just like House of the Dragon. So you have for sure order for these episodes. But no, they're not going to be doing that. Hulu does that. Yeah, absolutely. Hulu does do that. Netflix does that in Great Britain for a few shows that they don't have networks for. But I will tell you guys that no, that has been shot down, because it is for sure going to have a release in probably 2021 for 13 straight episodes. Because they do that with The Good Place and stuff like that as well, right? Yeah, so they do all that. So, all right, let's see if we can get this. And if you didn't notice up in the top corner, let's get me to 3,000 because of this horrible technical display as well. I definitely deserve it. But no, we're 90 away, people. Come on, let's just help my OCD a little bit like that and get me there. I'm going to link some of these videos in the information below. Also, check out the VPN. Swen Forkbeard is who I was talking about. I'm sorry. Swen Forkbeard is a direct descendant of Harold, who we see in the series right now. Fine hair. And then Swen Forkbeard's son is Canute. So you have right there, you've got Canute, and then you have Olaf. And King Olaf will be the connection with Eric, blah, blah, blah. And we'll see the gap actually connected between England and what will turn into North America. It just, they could do the whole first season literally they could end the first 13 episodes with them arriving in Newfoundland. I see that as a complete possibility. Let's see. 7%. I will tell the 7% of teens sub to me to sub to Justin. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, not too many. Don't bring over too many kids. But no, it's gonna be interesting at the very least. I don't think it'll be completely awful. I think that it's an interesting aspect that Hirst is seemingly a guy that really enjoys being in control. This is a guy that writes, there's only like 2 other writers ever credited on Vikings. And now this is a guy that's going to take a producer role on what is going to be a direct like connection to his series. It's not like just like some spin-off like that's got a few connections. Like everything but the History Channel is coming with this. So let's see, Justin's going to hit 2009. Oh yeah, I'll sit there. Yeah, like that. So yeah, I just wanted to do this live because I didn't want to put a video out and have a whole lot of editing to do when essentially the information is not, it's not a large amount of information we have right now, but it's enough to be very, very intriguing. And I know people are asking about the last season of Vikings. Remember, we still have, a good 20 episodes of Vikings to go. So this is going to have Eric the Red. This is going to deal with, Ivar and Bjorn for some reason, and then we'll most likely hopefully go to Ivar and Alfred the Great, since I'm assuming they're not going to go the route of Ubba with Alfred. They'll probably just go Alfred versus Ivar. So yeah, let's see. So yeah, you still have 20 episodes of the series to gap, so it's kind of hard to say. They said this take place 100 years after the events of Vikings, but again, the time's pretty condensed and skewed already with that. So I would venture to say 870 would be like the latest that they'll claim this series is ending. Let's see. Get your pet to sub. Why is it is not trusting you right there. Vitzer's gonna make me nuts for this half of the season. Yeah, Vitzerk, I think he's one of the best actors. He does the physicality well for how small of a dude he is, and yeah, the casting will be interesting. Now I don't know admittedly a lot about the Vinland sagas. I know the cliff notes. I know that Freydis is depicted very, very evil in one incarnation of it, and then in the other she's just a loyal sister who is pregnant and chooses to fight anyways. A lot of stuff that like Lagertha's done, who Lagertha is important to note is a fictional character based off of Valkyrie. So, it's hard to see which I would guarantee I'd probably put money on they're going to go with the more vindictive Freydis, because you need that conflict between Hearst has never, and again, he's not technically writing this, but Hearst can't have siblings that get along. He just doesn't do it. So yeah, review the, maybe I'll watch it. I'll watch the anime. That's when I was searching. I was like, what the hell is all of this anime? So I don't know how telling that will be. I got to get the Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology book. Me and John Baptiste talked about that earlier, and I need to go back over some of the sections of the sagas. I'm never just going to read them straight through, but I've got them on audiobook that I can go and pick out chapters. Let's think. Freydis is that was the name that she picked and in the series, and like I said, like that was kind of an incarnation of her that Hearst had, and he admitted to that. But this will be Freydis, Eric's daughter. It's spelled really weird, but it's everybody is Eric's son, Eric's daughter. You'll hear people Eric's daughter, stuff like that. So yeah, it is definitely, you're not wrong, Mackenzie. I think they were just wrong to do it. So it's an interesting take on it. I think it makes sense. It's a different medium, so it's going to feel a lot different. But I would venture to say that I don't think they'd be investing in this if they weren't going to want like 4 good seasons. I mean, how many Netflix series do you see with 2 seasons, right? Like usually because of the way in which it's consumed, you're doing it on Netflix because you have a lot to do. And let's remember that like 40 years took 4 seasons on Vikings, and they have 20 episodes alone. So again, you're going to be able to go off on different story threads. I would venture to say it would make a lot of sense not to see Freydis and Eric leave Greenland so fast, to see what happens. I don't know if he does kill somebody for sure, or he's just accused of it, and he pretty much has to flee. And they end up over there. Everybody crashes on a shore somewhere in the saga. It's the same way that Godwinson has to say that he's going to give the crown to William the Bastard, because William's mom was not married to his father. She was just some maid. But back then, that didn't matter. Like the monarchy didn't turn into needing that actual martial connection until after, I believe, I think until the Plantagenets come in. like until you get like Henry III. So yeah, they don't really care, but that's why he was called William the Bastard than William the Conqueror. So it is interesting in the actual breakdown, and that's the official press release, that they don't name Godwinson, and you can't have this. Like you've got Hydrata, and then you've got William. Like they both are fighting for the same thing, but they kind of work, whether they meant to or not, it worked together, to get Godwinson that's in the center. And he's usually portrayed as the sympathetic one in this scenario, the one that was noble and tried to do right. But also he was somebody that was opportunistic. He was somebody that was always next to Edward the Confessor. And he was a very useful Earl. And he was very, very successful at politicking in holding power, because he is not part of that bloodline. So he was able to secure it, and he was, for the most part, it seems he was a capable leader. So we'll see how he's depicted. But, if they depict him as Egbert was depicted of Wessex. So the House of Wessex, there's like 3 or 4 kids after Alfred. There's Ethelstan, the unworthy or unready or something. Like they don't go too well. There's one that does like 20 years of decent ruling, and then the rest of them seem to kind of get flushed down the toilet pretty quick. But it doesn't help that there's a resurgent in Dane like violence around like 1020, 1030. It really starts to pick up more after they kind of square away the North Sea Empire. Once they start to square away what's happening in Scandinavia, Sweden, in the Rus, once they all they start fixing their eyes back over onto England. So it all come full circle. So Edward the Elder is right after. Yeah. Do you think they're going to link? Yes, I do. I think that they'll even have a cameo. We got the Westerosi ninja here. Yeah, Edward the Elder is right after Alfred, and then you have, I believe, an Ethelstan. They're all Ethel something. It's something the Unready is right before you have the Danish kings, pretty much. Yeah, I think that they're going to make that connection, Milt. I think that is definitely the route they're going. I think that William the Bastard had a pretty rough upbringing. So I do believe that like they will show him as kind of like the underdog more than usually it's depicted. If you watch any of the 1066 documentaries or anything like that, like I said, Harold Godwinson is definitely portrayed always. This is a more sympathetic one. But William, he fought a lot. He was a tested true warrior, and he, was somebody that has a direct blood connection to Rollo. So I think that, yeah, they're definitely going to do that. Wonder if Alfred and Ellsworth will be back in season 6. They haven't hinted at the promos. It's okay, yeah. Ethelred the Unready. There you go. I just didn't want to mix it up with Aegon the Unworthy. That Song of Ice and Fire is always in the back of your head. So yeah, I wonder if Alfred and Ellsworth will be back in season 6. Yeah, they haven't hinted at it. I assume that I hope to God that the England like promo comes out, because like what we've seen is the Roos promo essentially, and I because they can't just hold all that off for the second half of season 6, in my opinion. It's confirmed that Alfred is only supposed to be. See, yeah, that's what I was worried about. It's him only being back for part B, because that's when you'll have your actual. Sorry, I get a message. The actual the chess match, between them. So yeah, so no, I just got a message. Johnny Be Crazy, if you're watching, no, we're gonna do a random fandom that will include this. This was supposed to be a standalone video that I just decided to do live, and my phone will not connect my slides, but that does not matter because we pretty much all of it taken care of anyways. Let's see, what do we got? We got our. Here we go. I'm sure, yeah. I don't like them prolonging all that. I don't like that at all. Let's see. That's Eric the Red right there. Okay, so Eric the Red 985, Leif Erikson 1000. So the first century right there. So you've got 985, and then. See, that's not even, if they're going to have Eric the Red in this one, then that's not even 100 years. Whatever, they condense too much. but we will just have to wait and see. It all comes down to what is this guy gonna do? Jeb Stewart, he's got definitely some skills, but come on. I mean, he's not my go-to for this. His very impressive adaptation work right here, but the Norse sagas are not that. And this is his complete IMDb right here. God, these last few are just shit shows too. So, I mean, Die Hard, that's great. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. But yeah, if you notice screenplay, and again, as somebody that workshops and does adaptions and does, when you do have to take other stories and just find the framework, it's not an easy thing to do whatsoever, as we've seen Dan and Dave try. But it is very, very different. In the sagas are not your straightforward novel like we had. So, I saw a flat nose and Kattegat for a promo. Guess he sailed back from Iceland. Yeah, he's the one that yeah, I know. Oh, I'm well aware that he's a famous Confederate cavalry general because doing my research on him, that's all. That motherfucker barely has any information on him. Yeah, I kept getting nothing but that Confederate soldier. Yeah, no, he is back, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, Milt. He is actually looking to be the one that goes and it connects them with Eric the Red, but he says it's Olaf. So the name that he says for the Wanderer is weird, but there is, again, who knows how much they're condensing, but yeah, they want to go west of Iceland. So as you see on this map, what's west of that? That's Greenland. So HBO Watchmen, Ninja, yeah. So yeah, we'll cover more of this in the random fandom, but I think it's interesting as a business move. I think it's interesting as a writing, looking at it from a writer's stance, that the difference in the way these shows will be formatted, and it'll be amazing to see Vikings compared to Vikings Valhalla. Again, terrible. I hope that's a working title. It doesn't seem like it is. It should be, though. That's a terrible name. I guess, I don't know. It's high concept. People know it. It is what it is. Yeah, so it's like, okay, this is going to be pretty much ran by the same people. I don't know how history feels about this. Don't really care. But yeah, it's going to be a streamlined show. You're going to get much more linear storytelling and less breaks. You're going to get less cheesy cliffhangers and stuff like that. But also, the episodes are liable to fall flat for the very reason they know that people are more willing to take a bad episode when they don't have to wait a week for the next one. So sometimes you can see that. You saw that with a lot of the Marvel stuff, even Daredevil, had a lot of flat episodes and stuff like that, just because they know that people are binging it. So it's all in that algorithm, people. Bet Watchmen didn't teach you that. Oh, come on. Watchmen's a good show. Open your eyes. Grant was at Vicksburg during Gettysburg. Yeah. Yep, I guess I probably should have done a video on him because he's all that popped up. He captured that the next day after Gettysburg. Well, there you go. Yeah, he seems to be significant because he has a Twitter feed and Jeb Stewart, the writer, does not. So unless you guys have anything in the chat, we'll end it there. Again, this was just going to be a 20-minute video that I decided to go live with. And yeah, so we are confirmed to have Eric the Red in the first half. He's in 14 episodes, so that means I would assume that means that we will see him venture over to Greenland. I assume that we will have him quite a bit in the first half of the season, but also quite a bit in the second half for 6B. If he's in 14 episodes, that's pretty significant, and there's a reason they pushed him back, because he was set to film. He was actually on set. He was on location for season 5B for the filming. I don't know if they filmed anything and chopped it, but he was for sure there. He's been casted now for like 2 years. So I wonder what it's going to replace Vikings on the actual channel of history. 2021 is the projected date, John Baptiste, for this. Will there be a North American? Yeah, I think that, Milt, I said earlier that what I believe will happen is it makes sense to sequence this out and plot this out in a way that you have Leif Erikson finding and Freitas coming up to Newfoundland, Vinland at the very end of the first season, at the end of the first 14 episodes. I think they should have it, not in Vikings. If you guys are talking about Vikings, season 6B, no, we'll see Greenland, I believe, and that's about it. Yeah, it is a 2-hour premiere. So yeah, 2021 is the projected date, and I'll keep people up to date on it. I like it. I mean, I like it. It's interesting. It's and again, Jeb Stewart, the one interview I found with him was very straightforward. He seems like a down dude. He's like, he's real. He's not, because the thing about if you're trying to be a screenwriter, you have to a lot of times make the decision if you're going to be so emotionally tied creatively to your script in the concept, are you going to sell scripts and make money and work regularly? Because a lot of times what they want to do is they want to buy okay, for instance, Die Hard 2 was either going to be Lethal Weapon 3 or Die Hard 2, because it was not written as a Die Hard. Okay. It was written just as an action movie, and they can easily form them into this. The one with Samuel L. Jackson, that was a movie script, that the script, the concept was Simon Says. You can very clearly see this throughout the movie. It was not a Die Hard movie either. They just put John McClane in the scenario of the lead protagonist. Simon Says is, throughout the whole movie, it's him and Samuel L. Jackson getting told what to do. That was a screenplay called Simon Says. They said, hey, this is next Die Hard. So if you were like very, very connected to the story in which you framed as the screenwriter, you would have lost money right there. You would have said, no, this is my baby. Like Sylvester Stallone insisted on playing Rocky. He actually did write that, which is pretty good. Especially guy doesn't seem all that bright, but he definitely is. But yeah, that was his first breakout role. He had like no money, and he like stuck to his guns and said he wanted to play the role. They wanted to buy that thing off him. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of. There's Keane McKay. What's going on, Keane McKay? So yeah, we're gonna have to get together and do something on this. Yeah, the Die Hards. If anything, I will not spit on adaptions because they are very hard. It is not easier. It is just different. But there is a certain aspect of like, okay, adapting a novel that was a action novel to a to a visual medium, it is a better fit. It is going to be a lot, because you on screen have to do, not think. Anytime you're having any character internalize anything, you have to show frustration, not internally. You have to do an act that shows frustration and stuff like that. So like action is the easier one to adapt from page to screen. I'm not crapping on him. The Fugitive, again, he just doesn't have any names on his actual products or projects that are, again, right here. The ones that are written by him, I haven't seen them. Switchback, Fire Down Below, Just Cause. I mean, when you see screenplay, again, not a bad thing, but just something to take note of. Let's see. Get this bigger. There we go. Die Hard 1988. So, okay, the last thing that he's credited for writing is this Liberator, which is I think it is an anime. It is a animation of some World War II battles, from what I know. I can't find anything else about it. But 2010 is his last like working title, and he wrote that. It got like a 4 out of 10 on IMDb. Just Cause, The Fugitive, Die Hard the video game, Leviathan, Lockup, written by Vital Signs, Another 48 Hours. It's got Eddie Murphy in it. And is that who played MacGyver too? I can't tell right in there. But yeah, I haven't seen any of these. He wrote, he didn't see. Now The Fugitive was a actual television series for 7 years, from 69 to like 76 or something like that. So again, not to take anything from that, it's actually the only television series to ever win a Oscar. I mean, adaptation from a television series to film that won Oscars. But there was 3 to 4 people working on that, and it was, a lot of it was already plotted out. Again, not downing on it, but it is something to take into note that the guy that they're talking about bringing new versatile storytelling and story threads to this project adapts. So I guess maybe that's good, because maybe he's just going to do a straight adaptation from the sagas, but it's not that. I mean, that's a giant leap from going from, adapting Die Hard to a television series and to The Fugitive to, looking at the sagas. And like I said, he seems like a pretty pragmatic guy. Like he talks about just needing to work, and I admire that. But yeah, like he did good work with the Nothing Lasts Forever. Like I said, John McClane's character, not the name of the guy, but in the book, but it was already a washed up. Like he was in his 60s. His family and kids, like his kids were already grown up, so there's like no hope of getting the wife back. So he gave a nice spin on he did some character work there. The characters were done by somebody else. The Fugitive. The character work was done by somebody else, meaning the characterization, meaning the whole plotting out of these character arcs were done by somebody else. The story was done by somebody else, and then he did the screenplay. So that essentially means, again, he just put it into the format, the structure of a screenplay, which is very difficult to do still, but isn't somebody I would have on my press release that's like, hey, look at who we got. You know what I mean? Because it's like, well, where's he been for the last 10 years? But maybe, Michael Hurst hasn't been the best if you've seen my fake phone calls with him. So yeah, we will have to, again, I think an interesting dynamic is the possibility of having Eric the Red, Leif Erikson, and Freitas being portrayed kind of in the same light as Ragnar in Lagertha. Not sexual, of course, but it's going to be like a mix between the dynamic between Lagertha and Ragnar and the dynamic between Rollo and Ragnar, the sibling, feud. And because even if Hearst is there, there's no way he's going to let siblings not try to kill each other. So I think they're going to go with the darker Vinland Saga depiction of Freitas, Eric's daughter. And that'll probably be interesting. I don't know much about like the indigenous people of Newfoundland. Like, I don't know. I'll admit it right now. I don't know what they look like. I'm assuming that Ireland can find some extras that look like that. I'll have to do some research on that, but that's interesting because they are using the same film studios in the same location. So I don't know if they're going to be more. They're not going to look as Native Americans in North America, meaning America, United States of America, the colonies looked. I would assume they would look more like, Eskimo. I don't know the proper vernacular there. I'm going to stay away from it. So we'll see how they pull that off. Let's see. Keen McKay said, adapting vague sagas and stringing them together into a single coherent story would make more creative drive than a book or film or anything. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Mackenzie, Newfoundland, Canada. Yeah. I mean, I think that you definitely need somebody that can adapt, but I would assume that he has to have a passion for this material is my point. I don't know, like Hearst is known. That's what he does. All of this stuff is history. When you look at Stewart's resume, none of it's history. So we've seen with how passionate Hearst was about history. He pays for digs, archaeological digs. He is, contributes to the arts, and he gives patronage to people that are doing research and stuff like that. This guy like really loves the fuck out of history. And again, he's always just like, yeah, and make sure to go ahead and fuck history on it. Yeah. Yep. Nope. I want them to kill each other because that'll be fun. Like, and then he just gets the next phone call is like, hey, I'll give you like $500,000 to dig up some Viking ships and in freaking East Anglia. He's a contradiction. But again, it is what it is. Inuit is a proper term. Thank you. I was searching for that so hard, John, if you couldn't tell. Inuit. I would assume they would look more like Inuit, right? The Vinland natives would be more Inuit than anything, I would assume. I have seen an interesting video on YouTube of like people up in around Newfoundland and all that have never ventured out of their town, and their way of speaking like is like the equivalent to like old Anglo-Saxon English, like old English. Like it's not the same exact, but it's like not even understandable or recognizable to us. Like, cause it's like this like really, really, just isolated fishing town, and it's kind of got the whole Inuit is the proper term. Yeah, it's kind of got that whole the boot and all that, but it's way worse. It's way worse. So yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I'm not downing on it whatsoever. I'm pumped for it because I feel that it's a better medium for the series. I feel that Vikings has had to suffer from its structure. I don't understand the whole format with the 6A and 6B, even like it's just weird the way they structure it. I would prefer that they just do seasons, because it does seem like, I only say that because it might seem like it's just whatever, like it doesn't make a difference what they call it, but they string their story threads together according to seasons. So 5A and 5B have a dramatically deeper connection than for season 4 and season 5. So like as a writer, they do take extra effort to separate, like, you know, time, unless they do it during an act break and jump 12 years. But yeah, it's kind of odd to begin with. And I would assume that you could get, especially on Netflix, like 13 episodes. I don't think you'll see Vinland. You won't see Newfoundland if they do it right. Like, and then you should see Canute the Great, North Sea Empire. You should see Harold Hydrada as a young boy. You should see, towards the very end of the season, you should see William the Bastard as a young boy, or even see, I think it's Richard, Duke of Normandy. His father, I think his name is Richard, which would be Rollo's grandson. And yeah, Rollo's grandson, I think it's Richard of Normandy, and he has William the Bastard with some maid, doesn't marry her, blah blah blah, and show that connection, show the King Olaf, and show the Danes that are still fighting over control of the Scandinavian territory and whatnot. Maybe even show a little bit of Alfred the Great's descendants. They show a little bit of House Wessex right before the fall of it, and stuff like that, and stretch it out. I mean, it's been crazier. So I just, they can't condense Leif Erikson and William the Conquerors. Like, they can't have that be a linear, like they did it with Rollo, but like this is a more understood in a far better documented time in history, just in this 100 years. So I don't know if I'd like, or if they could even get away with like having William the Conqueror doing things at the exact same time that Leif Erikson is doing his stuff. I guess the argument is that not too many people know that much about Leif Erikson, other than he supposedly found America before Columbus. I mean, I'll admit the Vinland sagas aren't something I'm too familiar with. I just know there's two different incarnations of them, and that in one, Freydis is much crazier, and that's probably the one they'll go with. It'd be cool to see Kattegat in the new series. I'm so sick of seeing fucking Kattegat, man. I'm just so sick of it. So no, I don't, Milton, I love you, but I don't want to see it. I just want to see it burn to the ground. Maybe we will when the Roos come. So yeah, I want to check into that. You guys did say that it was confirmed, which I did not see, that Vikings was not going to have Alfred, the actor, until 6B, which is disappointing. I don't know if you heard about that, Kane, but that's disappointing. I don't think you should leave the England storyline completely, and maybe that's a little bit of a hint for what's to come, though, to be fair, because I'm speaking about them not touching on Western Europe for the whole first 13 episodes. I don't see that as a possibility on Netflix, but hey, if they're not going to do it for 10 episodes on the History Channel, which is 10 weeks in not binged, you know, like this will be, it's very likely, you know, if they take that same mindset, they could have that happen. It's just, I think Canute the Great and all of that is too much history and too much opportunity to pass up on. And I would like to see them release that in their press release, but that's just me. They focus more on the dynamic storytelling of Jeb Stewart, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. So the Chinese and Russians probably came to America before everybody probably found fucking America before. Well, I'm pretty sure that Irish monks found shit way before. The Irish monks, I've said this before, they pop up in history. Like they have like a portal, or spawn points, where they just like, they drop a little bit of like the money they used, or like the type of material they used. So like people just, they're, oh, Irish monks were here first. So, I mean, makes sense. We're going to Russia. Should be involved in, yeah. I mean, I think that they probably don't have time to do England because of the time that they'll spend in the Roos. But so I guess that's Eastern Europe, but whatever, it is what it is. I think that's I'll see how it plays out. I think that's an oversight, though. I think it's a missed opportunity. Irish monks were, yeah, no, you're damn right. No, that's yeah, but look into Irish monks everywhere. They're like Carmen Sandiego, bro. They're everywhere. They're fucking Irish monks. They just drop off some coinage, do what they do. It is interesting that you find more you find more Anglo-Saxon coins in Scandinavia than you do in England. That just shows you how much they paid off with the Danegeld and stuff like that. Just a random thought I had after I was thinking about some Irish monks dropping something to prove they were there. So Pete Easy, what's going on? I like the name. Pete Easy. It's sleazy. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. 2021 is the projected date for this. And again, it's a solid piece of history that they have to work with, more so on the England side, because it's far less skewed. But the Vinland sagas they're not well known by me, I'll admit it, or very many people, so they could mess with that quite a bit. And we'll see the connection for the actual the transition soon. We will see Eric the Red and then Leif Erikson and so forth. So we will see. And where'd you go, Zoom? This Zoom is just totally crapping out at me. We're going to end up in it anyways, but where's my camera at, bro? There we go. Little Mick Cafe advertisement for you. Let's see. Come on. This is really starting to actually piss me off. We had a bunch of issues. Usually it's just not a big deal whatsoever to connect with the iPhone to share. And it was just nothing but trouble, leading to me probably deleting this immediately. It's anytime I try to make things easier. Focus. Give me a focus. Come on. You can do it, camera. You know you can do it. It's shitting out. Technology's going down the drain on me as we speak. Give it. Come on. Don't make me do the whole makeup ad thing. Wow, it's just not going to go, is it? It's not going to do it. Fuck it. We'll do it live. Fucking focus. Are you serious? Focus. It's the makeup trick giver. All the presenters for those channels go ahead and do that, but it doesn't seem like it's going to want to focus for this one. I'll see people do this too when they present stuff, just because they believe that this is what they have to do. Like I think they think it's like a actual like way in which people like properly present things, but I've seen some pretty dumb Primark hauls, which seem to make a lot of money, where every single time they put their hand to the camera, they cross their hands and like do this. But it's just a focus in the camera, which won't work right now. I'm making fun of it, but evidently I can't have nice things. There it goes. There's a focus. Bam. Throw away that POS phone. Yeah, well, Milt, we're not all rich, so it's only one generation behind. Let's see. Doing it live. I'll do it live. Yeah, you can now redeem this coupon for a free Big Red. Yeah, no, you can. If you get me to 3,000, I'll do something. I'll get you all McDonald's. So I want to get that up. But yeah, we will end it there because there's just a slew of technical difficulties, and I decided to do it live because there's not enough to constitute like a full video on it. I mean, I could, but I'm just gonna keep going down the rabbit hole. Right now, I gotta stop questioning Jeb Stewart. That's a big takeaway. Stop questioning this gentleman. He's most likely fine. He's done a lot more than I've ever done. He hasn't been anywhere in 10 years, so it's a weird move. Second off, wait for more press releases and casting. When casting comes out, then we will have some more news for you, and it'll be interesting to see. Like, I will be doing all the links, but I want to pull up really quick the links for the bonus VPN and so forth. But the blah blah blah. Hold on one second. Yeah, once we see like what's actually credited, once they start writing, I want to see when Stewart pops back up as active on IMDb. That'll be interesting. I mean, he must have sold them on something but they have a lot. This Green Pavilion has a lot of stuff going on, like these projects. Who knows? Like, again, Jeb Stewart's a guy, like, he was a working writer up until recently. So he was somebody that wasn't somebody that was tied to his work too much. So he's got to have some sort of actual fascination with this stuff. But we will see. So not much more after that. I like when the Rockets score 100 points in a game and everybody gets a free. Yeah. There you go. Everybody can get a free slice of pizza. Milt. We can all get a free slice of pizza. So hold on. I'll do the bonus VPN and then I will link out. I highly recommend. I haven't even watched them all, but VC3 and History with Hilbert for these, as well as a few other videos. There's a really good documentary as well. That is, I think it's just called 1066. It's pretty good. It's got the Blackfish in it, playing Harold Hydrata. So it's interesting stuff. But yeah, we'll just have to see. Watch a few episodes of something that is a Netflix original, and then do me a favor and watch a like Vikings, or watch God forbid, The Walking Dead or something like that, and just pay attention to every single time before they go to a commercial, and you will see a very, very large difference in the way in which a story is being told, because those act breaks really chop up the flow. They just has to. You have to have 4 to 5 mini cliffhangers. And usually there's what's called a teaser at the very beginning. So that's a cliffhanger in its own. It goes teaser and then 4 or 5 act breaks. And then I'm going to link this and we'll do it. Thank you guys for coming by. And hopefully we will have some news coming out. Everybody gets a free slice of pizza. And I got to do something on yours. Yeah, I hate shows. I can't deal with I legitimately get my stuff, through legitimate streaming services. But I just put a trial key for the bonus VPN, and I'm not shitting you guys. Just go ahead and give it a try. It's free. They don't take your credit card or anything. Security is important, but more so I use it to watch other continents, other regions, Netflix, and other Hulu. Look at Great Britain's Netflix compared to US. Which one's better? I'm not to say, but there's different stuff on there. And there's actually a lot of US stuff that used to be on there that's not on there anymore, like South Park, Rick and Morty, stuff like that. So you can get a lot of cool stuff, and it's just a different. It's for increase your palette and try. And they don't take it. You get free 2 gigs, guys, and it helps me out. They're helping out the channel, so go ahead and do it. Wonder if it works in Turkey, not in China. They always film it where it seems like they are worse off than they really are. Yeah. I'd say that Vikings is one of the best historical depictions in a lot of ways. Sadly, and I'm sad to say that for television series, for episodic series, but it's still like really, really bad. But I think a mix between Vikings, as far as the character moments of Vikings and the battle, and then Last Kingdom would be perfect. The Last Kingdom is a better depiction of the Danes overall, and that's in those books they're at A Song of Ice and Fire. Look up Bernard Cornwell's Saxon Stories. It is the best depiction of battle I've ever seen. But surprisingly, the television adaptation does not have the battle in which I think should be present. Like Vikings, when they have a battle, it's so much more epic than The Last Kingdom. But in the Bernard Cornwell, the source material books, dude, it kills A Song of Ice and Fire as far as depictions of battles, and there's a lot of them in there. And that dude there's 17 books in that, and he's got an Agincourt series. He's got a whole Napoleonic Peninsula War series called Rupert Sharp, the Sharp stories, in which it's got Ned Bean played the shitty television adaptation in the 90s. Look up Bernard Cornwell, guys. You'll like him. So yeah, I mean, it's sad to say that it's one of the better ones, because everything else is like Rain or Nightfall, which I just totally can't even deal with. But it is what it is. The Last Kingdom is great, even though I'm Milt, you would love the books. Let's see. PDs, use a VPN, select a server in another country, then create a login. Yeah, you don't even have to. You can just have it has it right in there, guys, on the interface. When you do it, you can just automatically, it logs you in to Netflix on your actual account. There's no messing around. You don't have to fuck about with it. It's set up like real easy like that. it'll just be like it'll say, what country do you want your server to be in? Like what region? Turkey, Britain. There's one more other than America, I think. And then it has below that what streamings. Not that you have to use those links, but it's very accessible. The interface is very accessible. It has Netflix, Hulu, and so forth. So it's like you don't have to make up like a fake name or anything like that. And again, it doesn't take your information. So, I'm not saying don't pay for it because that would do a lot more for me, but just even trying it out helps me. So I don't know, guys. It's free. Bernard Carnwell is crazy. I have to read one of the standalone books. Which standalone book did you read, Mackenzie? That's interesting. Let's see. Then we will end it. No, my brother got me on them. What? I want to take your history classes. Let's see. His Agincourt one's a little bit weird. He communicates with St. Crispin and St. Crispian, the main character. But yeah, let me know privately which one, Mackenzie, that you watch, because that's interesting, or had to read. I didn't know that he was required reading. It's required reading as far as fun goes. All right, guys, we'll end this. We'll do another random fandom coming up soon, hopefully with Johnny Be Crazy, which we will touch on this a little bit more once we get more news. So don't worry, Johnny, I wasn't leaving you out of it. I just felt that I would bust this one out quick, even though, it is what it is. Do it live. Thank you, guys. Make sure to subscribe. Let's get that to 3,000 so I stop having OCD ticks and all that. So, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to try to bonus VPN, and we will see you guys soon.